Welcome everyone to the Cables October 2022 update. My name on Discord and on Cables is Pandur. My real name is Tom.
Hello, I'm Stefan. Yeah, welcome everyone. And as we did with the last release, we're gonna do a little chat. So the both of us sit down and walk you through what we also mentioned in the blog post. Release again is packed with lots of features, so check the blog post. But we will walk you through a few things that we think are especially worth mentioning. And the four topics that we want to talk about mainly are our new capabilities for doing stuff in virtual reality, how you can collaborate on patches together and invite and request access to patches. Some small improvements to the editor to make your life easier while patching. And we have an awesome new feature where we can work with geometries and OBJ, export them, freeze them to optimize performance. But we will walk you through in the few next minutes. And I guess we just dive in with the most obvious hero feature of this release, which is VR support by using WebXR.
Yeah, exactly. And just to show you you can just go to blog.cables.gl and you see the whole release in detail. And there's a bit more here that you can explore, and we will only show a few highlights. So the first topic here is WebVR. And as you can see, there's directly examples. So I want to show you this example first. So this is our example. This is the more complicated example patch, which has already quite a few features. But we don't want to go into detail. We just want to show. So if you open this on your Quest headset, for example, you can directly open it from the browser and start it. We will show you this. But first, like this patch, it has some interactive 3D elements which play audio, and you can teleport around on the PC. You can press T and then you get the teleport ray, and then you can move around in the room. And if you press this button, it will start VR in your browser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're kind of cheating with this one right now to show you this, but the blog post also links a few extensions for the browser to have a browser emulation, WebXR emulation in the browser. So you presented with this icon. And we kind of tested this on the Quest 2 and with the HoloLens and some selected Android devices. So you should be good to go on most of these devices and have this icon and jump into VR if you want.
Yeah. So to show you how easy it is really, um, let me show you a little test patch, little example. So we just use our old random cluster to put some cues there and the PBR material. And now the only thing I have to do to see this in VR is add the VR op. So when I add this, you see this this icon here. So this means I can start VR now. Let me quickly add a key press learn and bind it to my escape key so I can escape the VR experience when I started. So I don't have a headset on my PC, but I can see this thing because I installed an extension which is super handy for debugging this or just working it without putting the headset on and off the whole time. So it is linked in the blog post, this extension. You can find it. You can just open your developer tools and then you go to the tab WebXR, and then you see there's a simulated headset here. So when I take this headset, I can, I have to start this first. So I click this button. So now the browser switched to VR mode. So you see for each eye, you see a rendering of the scene. And now I can go to this simulation thing here, and I can move the headset, and then you see, okay, I can watch my random cluster from the outside. You can rotate your headset and look around, and those two things are the controllers. I will not go into detail, but there's also an op called VR controller, and this gives you which button is pressed and what the position in the room is and the rotation, and it also gives you already a transform trigger where you can just draw a cube and then it would be attached to your controller.
Yeah, so all of this is basically the normal cable setup, right? So you just drop in VR and then that just works.
Exactly. So that just works then. For sure, you have to do some case management. So the op also tells you, um, the VR app also tells you if it's supported or not, and then you should just show a message or something like this.
Yeah,
Yeah. So to show you, if you open this patch on a VR headset, it looks like this. So this is the normal cables page with the patch page basically, and you can click the button. The same button is also here now in the VR headset, and then you can start it, and then you're in the experience. So
yeah,
this
so this
is
is then you moving your head around already. I mean, it's a video,
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah, exactly. So this is the whole way from beginning to end. So
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we had this room and we said it's a kind of more complex example, but basically it's taking the cables room that we introduced with the last update, I think, and then putting VR in and then making it all work. So
exactly, the complicated stuff is this whole teleportation thing, which is not an op. It can be patched with existing ops, so it's a sub patch there. Then there's also all those materials from the room and the whole ray casting, so that you can point on things and detect that it's pointed on. And the whole character movement is also a bit more complicated. But yeah, so this can all be patched together.
yeah, and also maybe mentioning something that we introduced in one of the last releases as well, since we're all working in a browser and we're opening a browser on the Quest. It is even possible to work with the remote viewer on the Quest. So if you
Yeah,
open this, you can patch and then sit in and like put on and off your glasses and work in a patch.
yeah, yeah. That's the WebXR VR news, basically.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, looks easy. Let us know if it works on all the devices that we didn't get a hold of, and yeah, as with everything, we will tell this a few more times. Let us know, give us feedback on how you use this and what you do with it.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you then we go to the next topic, which would be the collaboration, which is a good thing to start
Yeah,
here. So in cables, we really encourage people to work together. You know this from publishing patches and making remixes, and also sometimes the cables jams and everything. So we make it now a bit easier and a bit more controlled on who to collaborate with on patches, even on non-public ones. So if you now open the patch settings and you know this, there's a generate a secret URL. So whenever you want to send something to a client that you don't want them to edit the patch, or you want to, for example, post on a forum and don't want to publish your patch, but you want to decide on who could should help you and in what manner. You generate a secret URL and then send it to someone via Discord, for example, or email, or whatever is a means of communication. And this person will then be able to open this patch and view it and be presented a new link, a new button.
yeah.
Um,
We will simulate this now. I will go there with my Firefox. So in Firefox, I'm logged in as a different user.
so yeah, that's the small tiny request access button is all the magic there is. So this person can now request the access, click on it, and the owner of the patch will be sent an email and be also notified. So if you go back to cables the next time, the website, you will be seeing a notification.
Yeah, so I go back in my browser where I'm with my user account, And then I see this red bubble here.
Yeah, and if you click on this now, you will be taken directly to the invites page. We kind of reworked this, and now you can choose the level of access this new person, this other person gets. So we decided it would be a good idea to give some people read-only access or full access to the patch, and then the owner of the patch can basically decide on the level of access. And if you then go back to the other browser and reload, you will see that it will let you open it in the editor.
Yeah, so now this person can open it in the editor, but I cannot save. So it says no
Yeah,
rights to save. So that's what's expected.
yeah,
And
and this way it should be a lot easier to actually work together with people. You can also invite people from the patch setting page. As you can see, you can change the level of access later on. And when sending invites, you can immediately decide that the person should get read-only access or full access, for example.
yeah,
So this is a bit more fine-grained now, and should make it a lot easier to invite other people to collaborate in patches and everything.
exactly. So and you
One
can
last,
sorry.
yeah,
You can
all good.
still change the access that you want to give. So if you want to change to full access, then you can still change it here. So this is a bit more flexible.
Yeah, this also goes for all existing patches. So all collaborators on patches that are existing right now will have full access as it was before. So you can now go and demote people if you want.
Yeah.
And one thing, um, if you're not seeing the request access button on your patch page, then that might be because you're having a public patch. That's the only place where we're not showing this because we don't want all your fanboys to request access to your awesome patches. Use invites then.
Yeah. So the idea is, for example, we see this on Discord a lot. People ask for help, but they for sure they don't want to publish their patch because they're still working on it or for some other reason. So you can create a secret link, post it on Discord or something, and you can delete the secret link later and nobody can go there anymore. And then people can ask to help, and or like if you want help they can request access and you can say read only, and they can play around with your patch and say I think it's fixed if you change this and that, and then you can chat with them. And yeah, I think it just helps to communicate and help other people and work together. So that's the main goal of this feature.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, as said, let us know because I think we will be building on this functionality and make it work with teams and have more fine-grained control over what parts and maybe even operate ops can be edited and who's allowed to do this. So also let us know what you think, how it works for you, what you're missing, and we will improve on that.
Yeah, great. So next topic, uh, UI editor improvements and new ops and features. So I would just start with the first one, which is math ops shortcut. So this was already asked quite a few times. So and it's so good in the end. It's a little change. So until now, you always had to write sum or multiply to multiply numbers, but now you can just press the mathematical sign, so the star for multiplying, or you can press plus, and the op will automatically be inserted. And it's the workflow is so much faster and feels so much better. So that was user request, and this is a good thing that like just get blind and you're so used to type divide all the time and you think it's fine, but then someone says like, yeah, but it would be awesome if you can just type this character, and then you realize, yeah, it's much better. So always give us feedback in the discussions or on Discord. We really appreciate it and we implement it sometimes.
Yeah, I also think that the tiny ops look a lot better. They make for cleaner patches if you
Yeah,
don't have a multiplier, sum, or divide in there, and like visually, it's a lot more clear what's happening, I think.
yeah, I think so too. That's that. And another thing that's also kind of like this is we improved the suggestions. So if you drag out of a port, we already have this since the last release. You get this suggestion panel here, and this gives you a few options. Often there are ops here that are really often used with this kind of port. So here, for example, we see this number. So you can visualize the number, or you have a with graph op, or you can create a variable, all this kind of stuff. So we are always improving what on the options. So for example, here I can just create a texture. So I'm always like typing texture 1,000 times per day, but it's just so much faster when you click this and you just press this and then you have a texture there. So
Yeah, I
uh,
got some getting used to it, but yeah, keep an eye open for these suggestions and like rework on your workflows. Took me some time to actually look there and not type texture all the time, but it's like super
yeah,
helpful to use these shortcuts.
yeah, I think so too. So it really helps and makes the workflow faster. Yeah, the next feature also helps, also makes stuff easier, especially when you're using a graphic tablet or a pen or a touchpad. We call it the long press helper or the long press linker. So when you go to an op, and I will just click the mouse on it until you see this flashing rectangle, and then you see this line, and I can drag this line somewhere and click again, and then you see possibilities how to link those two ops. So when I click it here and link this one, then you see those possible links. So I can say I want to link this to key code. And sometimes when I would do this, for example, when I click this and click this, then you see, first you see the output port. So you only see possible connections that make sense basically. So there's one trigger. So this one would directly connect trigger to learn. And those one, it's not clear where to connect. So you press index and then you select the next port where to link it, and then you can link it like this. That was a bad idea, but yeah. So um,
Yeah, and it's called Longpress. I mean, that's not really visible on stream, obviously, but you press the op long and then you leave it. I mean, you're
yeah,
not pressing anymore. You don't have to drag your mouse, but you're then having this line attached to your cursor, to your
yeah,
pointer device, and then you press again to release it on the op.
yeah. So yeah, the idea behind this is for situations where you don't have like command or control key or other keys or like a left and right click. So like a pen or like a stylus. In these situations, it's much easier. Also, when you're zoomed out, like it's way easier. It's like, oh, where's this port? It's so hard, and now you can just long press this and go somewhere and click it there, and then it's way more easy to link those tiny ports. So yeah, we think it's a really good helper for accessibility and for small displays and uh, input methods that are not mouse or that are not the mouse. Yeah. And so sometimes it's a bit like if you're, I'm always clicking an op and then thinking where to move them, and then it's activated. So if you don't like this feature, you can always go to my editor preferences, and there you can turn it off basically. Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. And we were talking about suggestions, which are really great for example, opening all the VizOps that are super helpful for debugging. And we got a few more of these, a few new ones. For example, the Viz long string.
Yeah. for this, I will just go to the documentation and open the example patch. Yeah, so here you see it. Basically, it just prints a really long string on your screen, and you can visualize it.
Also, really great use of one of my favorite ops, the lorem ipsum op.
Exactly, yeah. So we didn't have this. We only had the viz string, which is really just for really short strings. So if you have just a one-liner, then this is fine, and this is not too big on your screen. So we decided we want two ops, one which is really big and one which is really for small stuff. Most of the time, the small stuff was fine in the past, and now we realized we also want this sometimes.
Yeah, and another one is the this array chart.
Exactly. So I will open again the example patch. Yeah, so this draws a pie chart of all the values in an array. So I have connected a random arrays here, and I can change the amount of arrays in here, and then you see there's only 3 pie parts left. And you can also connect an array with words, and then they will be shown next to it. So this was really helpful for debugging, like for measuring the time part of the patch uses, and then we can just quickly visualize this in the patch. So probably we will improve it later, but it's really just a quick way to see how your values are distributed, or how how the distribution is in the random arrays, or in other arrays, basically.
Yeah, with all these VizOps, we also checked the blog post again. We updated the documentation of cables on how to code these on your own. So if you need a custom visualization of whatever data you have, or whatever op you want to work with, there's documentation now on how to code these on your own. Pretty easy.
Yeah, basically, it's if you ever programmed a canvas in JavaScript and HTML canvas, it's that basically. So this is the way those are drawn. Yeah. Yeah, then we have another new op, the player control panel.
Yeah.
I will again open the documentation here.
Yeah, we found that it seemed to be really hard to do something like this audio player that has like this what's called skipping, and is it called scrubbing capabilities, play, pause, and everything. And we kind of reworked the really old timeline UI op to allow for this. So this now gives you a simple UI to play audio. Well, basically to skip through time and then work with that on the timeline, control audio, video, whatever can be skipped, even animations, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, often you would just want this control user interface, and you can just copy paste this, and then you can use it. And you could also style it with CSS. So this is an HTML element basically, so it's also flexible then. But yeah, we never had this, and it's really handy if you give something to the client and want to give them some control over an audio player or video player or whatever.
Yeah, this example patch is also maybe something to copy from if you want a really simple audio player that just plays audio, often requested. I think that's a pretty neat way of doing that.
Yeah. Then there's FreezeMeshes, which we are really happy about, and I think it will become a big feature of cables in the future. So what it basically does is, so it's called FreezeMeshes, so it's somehow freezing meshes. So what it does is, often we have a ton of static meshes that are not changing or always drawn the same way on the screen. And often you just want to combine them into one mesh and only draw this one mesh, because drawing many meshes is slow, because that's called draw calls. It can be slow if you draw thousands of meshes, because you cannot use a mesh instancer, for example. Then yeah, you always have this problem. What's better in this situation? So, and this is basically to combine many meshes to one. And the cool part is it's not like the merge geometry that we have, but it works with the normal cables workflow. So I'm using a random cluster here with a cube and a sphere and a cross, and they are now drawn as one mesh in the end with the render geometry.
Which is also
Yeah,
also a nice way of doing. I mean, the thing is that we're talking about cables generated meshes, right? So if you have a 3D file and use these meshes, then you have like these generated meshes. But this way, now you can have the same thing with cables generated meshes and
yeah,
see how the performance then improves
yeah.
a lot.
So yeah, I can switch here. So this is how the random cluster works, because the random cluster is really stupid. It's just we see how often it triggers the meshes. So it's really a basic stupid op. So it's triggering all those things, and this is how it looks if this does it. Every frame triggers 1,000 meshes, and if I switch this, then it will only render this geometry, and it's only one draw call, and then it's super fast. I mean, this example you could also do with a mesh instancer, and it would be basically the same. It's really, because mesh instancer is also really fast. But there are situations where you really want this. And one situation is not only for performance reasons, but it's also because I want to download this geometry that I generated here. So I can press download as OBJ, and my browser will start a download of an OBJ file. And I can open this file in Blender or whatever 3D software, and I have this whole scene in there. And this is really cool, because you can basically print the stuff that you built in cables on the 3D printer, or you can render it with, I don't know, Octane with path tracing renderers or whatever renderer you want. You can print it in really high resolution, all the stuff that we have problems in the web with, but this way you can export it and use it in some other tool. And
Hmm.
right now this is really basic. It's a really basic op, but we will work on this, and we also want your feedback. How would you use it? Where do you want to use it? What are your use cases? What are your ideas? We want to work on this and make this better. But yeah, we think it's already quite usable and quite interesting for many use cases, but we want to improve it. For example, that it works with multiple materials and you still have the materials in the end, etc. So there's a lot of ideas floating around. But yeah, we also want to hear your ideas about this.
But also for now, I mean, now already the mesh is frozen, but I can still work with the geometry in a normal cables way later on, do deformations on them or work with them, so they are not really static. I mean, the mesh is, but we can work with that in the cables, right?
Exactly. So you can still do all the vertex shader, the shader effect ops you can use on them, or you can use geometry ops on the geometry directly. It's yeah, basically this is the same as I would connect a cube or a sphere to this render geometry. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, great way of doing this. I'm really looking forward to the first 3D printed mesh instances.
Yeah.
So this will give the printer a hard time, I guess.
Yeah. Random cluster would be hard to print, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so what do we have on the list? I mean, we talked about VR, we talked about the patch collaboration, we had
Can go to
some
the blog again.
improvements. Yeah, let's check the block
Yeah.
again, but I think we're pretty much done with it. Again, go to the blog post, check it yourself. There's lots of more stuff in there. Um, let us know. These were just the 4 to 5 things that we thought would be worth mentioning, and we really liked.
Yeah. And
yeah, again,
also
check.
come to our meetup. We also did
Oh, yeah,
this on Wednesday in our meetup. We talked about this already. So that's always a bit more in depth, and you can ask us directly, talk with us, and we will show. We will patch. We will live patch always. We always answer the questions. We need more questions in the meetup, so join us there. Yeah.
Yeah. Apart from that, leave questions in the comments, leave feedback in the comments, join Discord, patch stuff. Let us know what you think about the release.
Yeah. Cool. That's it.
That's it. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.